Okay, guys, welcome to Home. I'm not sure if many people know about this game. It's an independent title. I think you can get it on PC, the iPhone, the Android, and it's on the PS4 only. You can get it for like $1.50, I think. But anyway, it's a unique horror adventure, and it's made by one guy. It's an indie title, obviously. I've been really excited to try this out. I think it's pretty straightforward, but there are multiple endings. So anyway, let's give this a shot and see how it goes. All right. Okay, both done. I like the art style, totally retro. It's pretty creepy, actually. That shows that you don't need great visuals for it to be atmospheric and creepy. Whoa. Hmm. Well, let's go here. Hmm. I think we would open the drawer. Absolutely. You don't know where you are, so let's do it. Wow. Okay. Okay, so we got to go up. Interesting. Yeah. I hate hurting animals. I mean, not like I've done it, but, you know, if I can help them, I will. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take it. Let's see. A black and white photo looked like the man upstairs and his wife. I guessed there was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Yeah, I'd want every clue. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. I mean, if I woke up in a house I knew nothing about and had blood on me, I'd want like every possible clue, I think. Hmm. I just want to make sure I cover everything needed before I go downstairs. Okay. Okay. Whoa. All right. That's a ladder, looks like. Hmm. I mean, yeah. God. So the husband's dead, and the wife is yet to be found. That means we've got creepy old ladies hunting us down, I'm sure. They're the worst. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait, there were photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more. I tried to find some kind of information. Oh shit, so I can't go back? I'm stuck, guys. Oh wait, those boxes would have allowed me to climb up the ladder again, but I didn't want to go back up there, not with that body, all that blood. Damn it. Okay. A work table covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun? I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? Yeah, you did. I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. I would take a gun if I found one. It was so dark down there, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old, faded paper, covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out and illegible. Notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. Okay. None of it made any sense to me. There looked to be bones, half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. The faded clothes that stuck up amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like clothes that woman was wearing in the photo I found. Was this the man's wife? Some kind of homemade rack, slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? I'm sure they did. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. Okay. We're getting deeper, guys. Some kind of old boxes. They look like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing there? Okay, so his wife's clothes are here. It's not his house. Interesting. Whoa, okay. I remembered noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. Well, there's no jump button, so I can't jump over. I don't remember if I jumped down there or found another way. It looked to be a long way. Did I jump down? Well, let's see. No. Maybe there was some other way to get down there without risking any more injury to my leg. Oh, so I can walk across. Duh. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to go... Whoa. What was that? There was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yeah. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend? The rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yeah. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out! Danger due to cave-in. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least I thought I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. The way you enter rooms and stuff totally reminds me of Resident Evil 1. So I think we definitely made the right choice in getting the gun and not jumping down the ladder. So that's good. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. There's an arrow pointing to the door, but there's a ladder. Let's go to the door. I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? Exit? A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't take this stuff unless unless if I touch it I get framed. No, I'm taking it. I slipped the knife in my boot since I had the gun in my pocket. Did I really need all this? Hey, the more the better. I don't want to have to worry about not having something. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Okay. Every time I open a door, I think something's going to be there. Like, jump out at me. Whoa. Okay, that startled me. Alright, the door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Definitely. Through the dust, I could see handprints from previous use, probably from whoever worked in those sewers. Okay. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yeah. Oh, God. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yep. Let's turn them all. Still locked, okay. No, it didn't do anything. Oh, maybe I go to the regulator. No. Okay, so I did turn that off. Alright, so I can't do anything more. What about here? Okay, so I guess I probably should choose no if it doesn't do anything. It doesn't look like it's doing anything. Okay. No. Alright, so I think I know what to do now. Hey. Got it, guys. Looked like the water drained out of that gate inside the wall. There was a small metal key left floating in the shallow pool of rancid water. Did I take it? I pocketed the small key, but it was so odd-shaped. I had no idea what it might open. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? The door was locked. I could see a faint light within. I found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he had been stabbed repeatedly. There was a keyring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? I thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. Oh, God. Oh, God. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. Why do I feel like I'm going to be framed? Because I picked up the knife. I could smell a hint of fresh air here. I was anxious to leave, but I couldn't help wonder what the key had unlocked. Oh, I think I know. There was a couple doors locked, so... Have I been here? This looks very familiar. The awkward weight of the gun and the knife made the climb even more arduous. Would I need that gun or that knife on my way home, or was I a fool for picking them up? I wondered what was in that locked room I passed. Should I have gone back to check? Perhaps it didn't matter. I was so eager to escape, I almost bruised my hand, forcing the latch at the top of the ladder open. As I lifted the heavy lid above me, frantically the smell of that sewer gave way to the dank scent of pine trees. Oh, this reminds me of Castlevania. I don't know why. I think if I was in this situation, I would just want to get the hell out. The hell with investigating. I just want to get home. Can I even reach that? An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? Yeah. I popped that latch open and brought the ladder down. Yeah, I want to see what's up here. In a patch of smeared dirt and grass there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? I slid the filthy wallet into my back pocket. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gun permit. In fact, it didn't contain any cards or ID of any kind. I thought I should recover my credit card and driver's license at least. Yeah, you want to, like, eliminate any chance of you being here, I guess. Just in case they do frame you. From the railing I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. Yeah, worry about that later, buddy. Alright, let's see. Well, I think it was definitely smart to get my wallet. Ooh, there's a arrow. This looks chained. I tried the little key I had fished out of the murky puddle of the sewers. It fit, and I heaved open the rusty door. Oh, right, okay. The wind was picking up a bit. The night air had become strangely chilly. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was that of the increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train routes connected to that old station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course! The map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marked, and the notes I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower and even this train yard. What was he doing? Coming back here? Maybe it's like he had secret routes to, like, get to places quickly, kind of like Jason, Friday the 13th, and that remake, the tunnels to get to places without being noticed and kill people. Like, I don't know. Oh, I don't know if I want to be outside yet. Let's go back. There was a door over here. The ancient ticket booth was falling apart and covered in dust and grime. Stacks of paper lined the counter, faded remains of old schedules and reports. Among the papers were newer looking sheets, covered in scribbles and illegible notes. Come to think of it, the man in that house had kept similar scribbles hidden on his bookshelf, and he had notes on the water tower outside, too. I guessed he could have been coming here, but why? What was he using this old station for? Dude, to get around quickly. That's the only thing I can think of. Like escape routes and travel unnoticed. The old train was ripped open, and hanging from a shred of metal, as well as the broken fence, was a dark stained patch of cloth. It looked synthetic, like some kind of outwear. Inside the train's shell I could see a few faint impacts, like wounds. Could they have been bullet marks? Was somebody shot there? The ground was well worn, though. I couldn't really make anything out. I realized I was touching the gun I had found as I had thought. Wait, so I'm stuck. There's nowhere else to go. Okay. So I guess I go... This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I had seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here the sign pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. Oh man, there's multiple paths. Let's take the first one. Oh my god. Trampled into the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some kind. I brushed it off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take back my credit card? Yeah. I pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license too. Oh, so he doesn't have his driver's license. Dude, I'm gonna get lost. Through the fence, I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. I wondered if I could find my way around. Okay. So I think that's where I came through. Alright, so let's go here. Oh god, we keep going deeper, guys. Oh geez, there's so many... What's that? I heard something. There was a fire pit there. It was still a bit warm, and a few embers still burned at the bottom. 2 folding camping chairs were on the ground. One was knocked over. There were a couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. How dare they waste beer? The cheap dome tent slept 2 people. I shone my flashlight inside and could see some bedrolls, 2 backpacks, and a cooler. So my guess is maybe he was camping with his wife. They got kidnapped. He ended up killing the guy that kidnapped him, knocked out. That's why his credit... I don't know, like... Maybe he's like a werewolf, who knows? The grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. Well, that's good. A musty wooden plank propped the stall door open. It didn't seem useful. Did I bother to take it? I wasn't sure why, but I took the plank. I mean, why not take everything? That's my motto. It's not like he is slowed down or anything. I'm starting to get lost. I really want to find my driver's license. I hear something. There were some personal effects shoved back into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there too. Did I read it? Yeah. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was page after worn page of names and lists. None of it made much sense. The newest page contained several names. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose, Rachel. Rachel! Her name was last on the list, and I had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out, but these marks looked older and more faded. So he's like, has a hit list? I mean, that's what it seems like. Okay, so where are we? This is... Alright, so that's the campsite. What's in here? Okay, so we've been here. And what's in here? I had finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I never wanted to return there. Wait. The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. Let's take a look first. I don't know if I want to leave yet, guys. I feel like I want to find my license. Ah, I knew there was a place I had missed. A dry old picnic table sat lonely amongst the trees. It had carvings and marks from years of previous campers. As I tried to read some of the names and the marks, I idly thumbed the knife I'd found. If I wanted to, I could have carved something on that table. Did I? No. I slipped the knife back into my boot and left the table alone. I don't want any idea of people knowing I'm here. That's my motto. The plank I found was long enough to form a crude bridge, but I wasn't sure if it would hold. Did I use it? Yeah, let's try it, guys. No. Two bodies, two young women, were half dug into a hasty, shallow grave between the trees. The younger-looking one was still face up, her dead eyes gleaming against my flashlight. They deserved better than that. Did I clean up the gravesite? No. Hell with it. The thought of touching those poor girls almost made me sick. I left everything right where it was. The police could sort it out. Absolutely. See, guys, you gotta be smart. Hopefully that was the right decision. But why come over here? Is that the only reason? Did I cross back over to the... Let's just... I wasn't... Is there anything else? No, I'm still not messing with them. I'm worried though. Like maybe my license is on them. You know what? Let's fucking do it, guys. I tried to cover them up a bit more, and I closed the younger woman's eyes. I fashioned a crude marker. I wasn't sure why, but I felt I had to do something. Okay. The girls weren't carrying ID, so I couldn't determine their names. I only hoped that whoever had done this had done it quickly. I wondered now if they had a phone or something at their campsite. Maybe I could call for help? Well, I've already been at the campsite. Did I cross back over? Yeah. A dry old picnic table sat lonely amongst the trees. It had carvings and marks from the campers. Yeah, I'm not going to carve my name. Why? Like, that's just dumb. I wanted to touch the girl's body. That sounds bad. But I wanted to touch the girl's bodies in case they had my ID or something. You know, like, what if they had your driver's license on them? So... yeah, I think we've pretty much exhausted the forest from what I can tell. Just making sure there's no... Man, it's really easy to get lost. That's where I found the hit list. That's where I got the plank. Alright guys, we're gonna leave the woods. Through the dense trees, I could finally start to see some light. I must have been at the edge of the forest, though I wasn't sure where the path ahead of me led. I could almost feel the cryptic notebook in my pocket as I tried to think about what it could mean. And where were the campers who had abandoned their site? Would I meet them too? Though the path ahead of me was less dense, I still felt guarded and wary. Who knew what was ahead? Well, the campers were the chicks that are dead. I mean, I'm assuming that is obvious. As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind? Oh, dear God. It's probably her. Some creepy old lady, I'm sure. Another body. I found the body of a security guard, just doing his job, no doubt. His face was covered with blood from some kind of head wound. I wondered, was this flashlight his? Well, why would it be his? Dug into the ground was a cracked old watch. First my wallet, and now this? Did I retrieve my watch? Yeah. The watch was useless, but I put it on my wrist anyway. Like I said, guys, we don't want any traces that we were here. The sound effects are really freaking good. What was that? One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Well, is there anything? Old work clothes had been picked through, and a few photos and notes had been ripped off the door and spread around. Okay. Alright. Oh God, another puzzle? Where do I go, guys? Where? There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear. and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. Okay. The door was locked tight. It seemed to be connected to the power box beside it. All right. The door was locked shut, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, closed for repairs." All right. So we got to go upstairs. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. Oh, dear God. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Our old break table, the layer of dust and grime, only made seeing this sting more. All right. The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out, and the face was unrecognizable. That woman's photo. I knew I had to get back to Rachel to find out what happened. Okay. Alright, so let's pull this. A power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? All right. It was shut tight. There was a rusty-looking card slot on the side. So we need to find a card. The door had been hastily boarded up. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked there. My head ached, and I recalled the last time Norman, Rachel, and I all had lunch together. Rachel seemed so much more at ease when we all hung out. Another panel. Did I push a switch? Yep. Okay. A utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Yep. As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Being useful and productive there in this plant, that was all I ever wanted. When the factory closed, everything got worse. Okay. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Yeah. I slipped the key card into my pocket. From the musty smell, I assumed no one had used this locker for a long time. Yeah. Okay. I think we got it. We can hear it. Oh wow. That's creepy noise. I'm so freaking tense. The key card I found. Did I use the key card? Yeah. There was some kind of ventilation hatch there. It looked like I could jump to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? If I was too chicken to jump down that broken ladder before, why do it now? There had to be another way. Yeah, I don't like going places I know I can't return. Like, I'm not done exploring, so. Oh my god. So I'm locked in here? So I have to jump down. Oh, so I do. Well, that sucks. Yeah. Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. The bottom of the ventilation hatch hung open. It was pretty high up. I wasn't sure if anyone could have got back up there. There was a crumpled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily, and it was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was, need to. Just don't drinking need Norman. Who was Norman writing to? I'm assuming Norman was writing to my wife, Rachel? That's all I could think about. That's all I can see. That poor guard. Was the flashlight I carried his? It looked like he had met his end violently. I only hoped it was quick. I had to get home to Rachel, but I couldn't stop thinking about Norman. He and Rachel were friends. Could he help? It wasn't like I really had anyone else to turn to. My leg burned with pain. I only hoped I could find my way through the dark path before me and get to Norman's store. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food in slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Should I take it? Oh, I'm so happy we got it. I cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. It was amazed to have found my credit card. And now this? I tucked the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Okay. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of a television. Oh, God. TVs and like on when no one's watching are just creepy. The entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. Looked like I couldn't just pop it open. It needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. What the hell? One of the Rachel's old autumn coats hung on a rack? That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? Alright, so what I'm thinking is that Rachel and Norman were having an affair. So basically Rachel was banging our dude's best friend. He must have found out, kills them both. Like, goes on a rampage. Why was he in that random house? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. The handgun was Norman's. What the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back into the cabinet? We don't even know if the gun's loaded. I don't know if we... No, I think I'd want the gun. I mean, you don't know where you are. Though it weighed on me, I had a hard time parting with a weapon just then. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I think Rachel was having an affair. He kills them. Yeah, I don't know. Why the security guard, though? And ooh, what's this? What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wondered where it led. Did I pull the chain? Yeah. I gave the chain a single tug, and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. Okay. Ooh, television. The TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. I couldn't make out what was on the screen, but that glow just gave me the chills. Yeah, I don't know. TV. Ooh. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker, and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? No, like why? Sorry, Norman, but at that moment I was too confused to worry about you. I needed to find Rachel, to find some answers. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. Alright, so yeah, he was definitely banging Rachel. I must have found out, killed them both. And then, like, it still doesn't explain why you wake up in a random-ass house, because that's not Norman's house. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yes. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Ooh, the hairpin. We can use that as a key. We're getting smart here, guys. Alright, let's go up that ladder. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? I opened up the old cardboard box and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There were more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes, photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What were you doing here with Norman? Well, I think you should know by now, buddy. Your wife was unfaithful. She was banging some other dude. Alright, so let's see. No! Wait. Wasn't that something up there? Oh, no, it's the same thing. Alright. Alright, so... Let's go out. We've been here, I think. This is the bedroom, right? Yeah. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. Aha! The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. Well, duh, that's how Rachel got to know Norman. Banged him, okay. Alright. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. Were you thinking of going somewhere with Rachel, Norman? I think you're a bit slow, buddy. The question is, where's Rachel? I don't think we found her yet. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. I could only think of poor Norman upstairs. The hell with Norman! He was banging your wife, bro. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. Of all the postcards, that one seemed to be the most popular. There were only a few left. That night continued to take horrible turn after horrible turn. It had been weeks since I had last seen Norman, but to find him like that... As I thought of him still lying on the floor back there, the gun I carried seemed ever present. Seeing that dusty box of those old clothes was a shock. How long had they been there? And what was Rachel doing at Norman's place? I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. Uh-oh. No, 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 no. Is there anything over here? Oh god, there's 2 doors. Oh god, there's 3 doors. 4 doors. Oh. Alright, let's start from the beginning. Alright, yeah, let's go in here. It was locked, okay. Locked, alright. Makes it easy. Oh, we got one. Alright, that may... Okay. The neighborhood's local post box. The letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband and your friend. I need some time to sort this out away from both of you. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him. Norman, so don't you think you can hold that against me. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to, but he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Alright, so she was banging him. She felt guilty. Then she took a vacation. I guess I'm not the greatest husband in the world, but... Uh-oh. That looks like blood, bro. That looks like blood. Alright, so where was the post box? It was there. Locked. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. Okay. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid too, guys. I'm afraid too. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. I'm scared. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. Although, she's guilty. I mean, it's not like I feel like I've done anything wrong. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I killed Norman, but... she cheated on me, so if she's after me, there's something we don't know. I remembered having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? The table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. All right. Oh, God. Upstairs is always where the bad stuff happens. Alright, let's use this door first. I don't want to miss anything. Okay. The door to the basement, it was locked. Where had I put that damn key? I don't know, bro. Oh. There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? Okay, so the factory's closed. It's been closed for 3 years. I worked there. I obviously got laid off, was unemployed, I'm assuming. Rachel got fed up because I couldn't pay my bills, cheated with Norman. Then she felt guilty, disappeared. I found out, killed Norman, killed everybody, probably, at the factory because I was like, I got laid off and went postal. Yeah, maybe that's it. The front door was locked from the inside. I couldn't go out, though I needed to see if Rachel was here. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm scared. What do you guys think? You think Rachel's alive? Or do you think she's dead? Door was stuck shut. There's an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. Right, so there's only so many paths we can take, guys. I had found the last missing piece from my wallet. The old photo of Rachel and I stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? Yeah. I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? Because you found out. Because you had found out, bro. Our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to... Aha! See? He lost his job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but then it was too late. Yeah, so, okay. This is what I gather so far. They were married. He got laid off at the factory. And then he went into a downward spiral. Couldn't pay for anything. She felt like I was a loser, cheated on me with Norman, my best friend. I found out, killed them both. I'm assuming he probably killed them both. We don't know if Rachel's dead yet, though. And killed everyone at the factory because he's like, you laid me off, I'm going to go postal on you. And I think maybe the guy's house that I woke up at was probably maybe the manager of the factory. That's just my guess. So let's see. Yeah, that's my guess so far. I mean, there doesn't seem to be anything supernatural yet or anything like that, but... Oh, I see a broken mirror. It's 7 years bad luck. Our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. I couldn't really make myself out anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to. Yeah. Our sink, which needed to be replaced, one of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't gone around to fixing it yet. Yeah, because he's a loser. He's probably a bum. That old house was charming for sure, but it wasn't always easy. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. It seemed impractical at times, but it was part of what made that house home. Okay. Dude, I am so freaked out that she's just gonna, like, jump out at me. Well, there's blood there, so I want to go here first. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey now, that I looked more closely, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books as I did. What does that mean? One book in particular seemed a bit odd. I remembered owning it, but not that edition. Huh, what does that mean? My wife's. Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed, so she never left. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was in it. Did I open it? Rachel's suitcase contained clothes, toiletries, and a train ticket. Is this what you were going to do with Norman? Alright, guys. I think this is the last room. I'm scared. My laptop had been left on and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key on the top drawer at my desk. Did I take it? I pocketed the key. Oh god, the basement. Oh god. Wait. Okay. So we gotta go to the basement, guys. Not my favorite place in the world to go. I unlocked the basement door. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. I couldn't even remember our last Christmas. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? I took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. We had way too much junk. I had put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck, and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through if I had found something heavy enough. Wait. Really? There's nothing else in here? Looked like there was plaster, an old trowel here too. Well, that was kind of anticlimactic. Let's see. What am I missing, guys? It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? Wait, I haven't been in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I? Yeah. I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight. Okay. Wait. So there was a room I missed? Or did this just happen? Oh god, now we can break the drywall. Oh my god, I hope I didn't, like, plaster her in the wall. What if I did that? What if she's in the wall? Did it break through the wall with the crowbar? With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a hole large enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down there? Was she okay? I thought I was going to see her face, like, pop out at me or something. Don't look. Oh, God. Jesus, how big is this room? Oh, God. I see blood. Don't look. Don't look. It says don't look, but I'm going to look. A filthy-looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile to see what lay within, but I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all the searching, after all I had seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? Oh, God. Be prepared. Wrapped within the filthy rags, pale and still, was Rachel. She was covered in fading bruises and what looked like cuts. Her chest was a horrible mess of blood and dirt. I couldn't bear to look at it. The knife in my boot, the gun in my pocket. Were they tools of her murder? I thought about all I had seen and wondered if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. And when I couldn't stay there any longer, I stepped away on my shaky legs and my way back upstairs. Reluctantly exhausted from my journey, I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. What? So I just fell asleep, okay. It was my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again. Or maybe somebody stole it from me? Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does that mean? Dude, you're a bit slow, buddy. You killed everybody. You're the bad guy. This was the old photo of that other man and his wife, I assumed. I found it in that house. I recalled those faded remains I had found deep underneath his house. What had he done there? Well, what did I think? Was that man involved in this whole mess somehow? Well, definitely. Those tunnels, the odd tools in his house, and the remains of his wife. He wasn't innocent, that's for sure. But who had killed him? You. Within the few broken pieces that remained of that mirror, I could see my face had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look again. It was like I didn't actually expect a reflection. It felt empty and drained. It was the key card I found in the factory, the one that allowed me to slip through that door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's. But if that was true, what was he doing back at the plant? Did I think Norman was going back to the factory? I don't know. Yeah. Who else would have been? Norman, what were you doing back there? I had made up my mind. The laptop had finally run out of power. How long had it been left running? Alright. Nothing in this room. Is this the shower? The reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. The quiet in that room unnerved me terribly. I still loved the old-time charm of that claw-footed bathtub, though it seemed like cold comfort then. Rachel loved this part of the house. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. It used a digital passcode lock, but I didn't have the code. Maybe I had left it somewhere? I leafed through the notebook I had taken from the forest. In it were the names that had been written down. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, all women. I recalled the names I saw scratched out on that old desk, deep within those rusty tunnels. Was the man in that house really up to something? Was he the one responsible for Rachel's murder? But I had found him dead. It was the letter I had taken from the post box. Rachel, were you really having an affair with Norman? But why? I didn't think things were that bad. In the letter, Rachel seemed concerned. She almost seemed worried of what Norman might do. Did he do that to Rachel? Norman may have betrayed me, but I didn't think he was capable of that. I hated him much. I hated him so much, but I couldn't blame him for what had happened to my wife. From now on, I'd have no one to get angry with me for stupid things like buying this TV. Just thinking about things like that made me sick with grief. Right. It seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. The mail still sat there, heaped on the floor. How long had Rachel been lying in the basement? It seemed like that mail had been there for a while. What's in the kitchen? There would be no more dinners here, no more chit-chat over breakfast, at least not for us. I couldn't recall when I'd last ate, but I wasn't hungry in the least. Man. If I was guilty, I could take this to a worn, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? Yeah. I took the knife and kept it firmly in my hand. If I wanted to end it, I could do it. I could do it with that gun. Did I pick it up again? What? If I want to commit suicide? If I wanted to end it, I could do it. I could do it with that gun. Did I pick it up again? No. Now that I stood there, I realized I couldn't go back into that room again. I had already seen too much. All right. I mean, would you pick up the gun? I mean, I don't know. Like, is there... Oh, the code. Oh, where would the code be? Have I been in every room? All right, we're going to take it real slow right now. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. So this is the front door. I don't want to leave yet. Those are the bills. Nothing on there. That's the basement. The gun's in there. There's the kitchen. I don't think there's nothing in the kitchen. Yeah, there's no backyard. Okay. So there's nothing on this floor but the exit. Anything in the basement other than the gun? Where would the combo be? Perhaps I would never know how that mirror came to be broken. Was it by Rachel's assailant or by Rachel herself? The thought lingered and would haunt me forever. I had made up my mind. Okay. Laptop was dead, but I found some notes and loose paper in the drawer where I had found the key. There was a yellow sticky note with an 8-digit code on it. Aha! The code looked like it might be for the safe, but what kind of phrase was that? Got it, guys. I knew it. I knew we had to get that code. And this is the bathroom. All right, let's go. Let's go to the safe. The code I found should have let me access the safe. Did I try to open it? Yes. The code worked. I pulled open the small safe door and peered inside. There was a photo in there of Rachel and when we had first moved to town. In it, we were smiling outside the front of the house, which looked like a real mess. We looked happy, though. Odd. I couldn't remember who took that photo. Inside the safe was also an envelope. The front of it read, "Do not open until I tell you." I guess this was a good time as any to see what was inside. Did I open the... Yeah. I tore open the envelope and removed the yellow lined paper inside. On it was a letter, written in hand that looked familiar. The letter read, "I know this whole event has probably been pretty difficult. You can't imagine how hard it's been for me, too. Well, maybe you can. That isn't meant to be an excuse, but, well, I hope you can better understand why I've done what I've done. Moving to this town seemed like such a dream, a quiet place to get established, to live out our lives, and to be together. But you know as well as I do that things quickly changed. Your drinking was one thing, but as you grew more distant, as you retreated into what world of yours, well, it was clear you didn't need me as much. In fact, maybe you never needed me at all. But it took all this to make you realize. In the end, though, you may never forgive me for this. You may never forgive yourself, but this is probably for the best. You'll be healthier for this. I'm sorry it had to happen this way. Rachel. What a bitch. So... Oh, interesting, interesting. It seemed like that mail had been there for... Okay, so the front door. Don't want to leave yet. I want to check everything one more time. Because I feel like we keep finding stuff. Basement? Anything in here? Can I okay. Nothing in the basement. No way. I mean, why would he commit... I mean, that doesn't make sense. Alright, guys. I guess we're ready to leave the house. There's nothing more here. I peered at the knife as I turned away. A warm place, I had thought. Where could that be? Oh god, so now we have to look again? I would think the kitchen, right? Like, can't you just wash it? A warm place? Like, the last thing I want to do is be framed for this. Like, that's my guess. I feel like that's where it's headed. And I think I'm going to pick up the gun, because I can't leave that there either. No, I'm not going to commit suicide. So there's like nothing I can do with a knife other than kill myself, basically. Like there's nothing left to do. Right? Alright guys, we're leaving. Living in this town hadn't been easy. The plant had helped in some way to stay grounded. It kept me in line, gave me something to do, and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I had started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. I had MRIs and piles of doctor's reports, but nothing seemed to help, not even drinking. But I swear I had tried to give it up. I know it. The sleepwalking never really went away, though. But I know Rachel had tried. I know she had tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night had been unearthed terrible truths, but I knew it was the final act of a long-standing horror I had been living. Walking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. It was obvious to me that the man I had found in that house had something to do with all this. Could he have killed Rachel? It started to seem that there was too many things I had seen to think otherwise. And what was hidden within those sewers I had found? The tunnel to the man's house obviously led there, but was there something I missed? I had found the contents of my wallet scattered through town. Why the hell had I been out there? Had my sleepwalking gone to some new extreme? The thought that I couldn't account for my whereabouts, but knew I had been to that forest and even Norman's place, well, it was terrifying. I didn't know what that meant, but at least I had recovered my things, hopefully. I thought that would cover my tracks, so I wouldn't be... Aha! See? I told you. Deep within those woods, though, was where things became truly awful. Finding that notebook only made things worse. Rachel's name had been on that list, so it was a terrible plot she was part of. There was a similar list of names on that desk back in those tunnels. What was the connection? I knew Norman wasn't completely innocent in all this. He was obviously going back to the factory, rooting in those lockers, but had he brought that poor guard I had found to his end? It certainly seemed so, but I almost didn't want to believe it. After the factory, I thought I might find some solace if I could just get to Norman's store. But all I had found were more horrors and more questions. Now that I really consider it, that's when I should have seen it coming. Norman, what were you and Rachel up to? It was obvious things were more complicated than I ever imagined. How long had you been going behind my back? More importantly, why, Norman? Whoever had killed Rachel had probably gone after you too. Maybe they knew what you were up to. I would never know peace, Norman. But despite your transgressions, a part of me really did hope that you would. When I had marched through the rain towards home, I desperately clung to the hope that this would end. And I guess in a way it did, but could I have known how hopeless it all was? I had started to feel as disorientated as when I sleepwalked. To think of it now, I guess I should have known from the terrible silence that greeted me when I first stepped into our house and stood there in the kitchen. There was no sound of television, radio, even the air was still. But seeing Rachel there, lying ruined and discarded in the basement, that was a horror I could never have imagined. I didn't know if I'd ever find the answers I craved, but I knew that somehow that other man I found was responsible for... I don't think so. I think I am. If not directly, he must have had a hand in Rachel's death. So what was I doing in that damned house of his? Had I found out? Had I killed him? My damned condition made it difficult to know. Memories and time frames were always a mess, and I could never be sure. Knowing that man was dead, though, was cold comfort. My wife was gone, and no matter what happened to me now, I was lost forever. As I swung open the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife, just the thought of her again, cold and inert, shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet, and I couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, but I should run. Wow. I mean, I liked the game. I mean, there wasn't much gameplay, but it was good. I mean, it was the perfect length. I made it a little bit longer because I kept backtracking in the house, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was creepy. Like it was just suspenseful. There was no like there was no like jump scares really. I mean, maybe like one, but the graphics, the atmosphere was top notch, even though it was like retro style. Um, a part of me actually wants to play it again just to see if I can get more clues. It was a creepy story. I mean, I would give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I mean, keep in mind this cost $1.50. So you can't go wrong. I mean, you just can't. It's an interactive story. It was a good one. It leaves you thinking, like I'm definitely going to be thinking about this game like an hour or 2 hours down the road because I'm going to be like, what really happened? So like I hope you enjoyed it. It was good. Like I definitely recommend. I mean, if you watch this, there's probably really no reason to play it yourself, but because it's not. I mean, it was good. I mean, I definitely loved it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I might do another Let's Play of this since it's short enough. And I wanted to do one sit through since they recommended that it's not that long and you get the full effect of the game. I think if we go through it all together at once. But I really hope you enjoyed it, and look out for the next Let's Play. All right, have a good day. Bye.